So Friday is typically payday for most people. But for some, Friday could be a terrible day as they go into work, go to clock in and realize that their code doesn't work anymore, their time card's not there anymore. Or, things are going along just fine, and then you get called to the manager's office or something. And, Friday ends up being a terrible day because it's the last day that you're employed with your previous employer. And this is a fear and a high possibility and likelihood for many, many Americans moving forward. Despite what the news reports may want you to believe about record unemployment and the state of the economy and rebounds, record unemployment levels. Oh, and Mitch McConnell and his ridiculous idea that Americans are flush with cash from all the stimulus checks that they received during the pandemic. It's not necessarily true. And fortunately for some, there's a warning. Warning shots fired for Tesla employees, as Elon Musk said he's worried about keeping Tesla out of bankruptcy. And this is in a recent interview that the Tesla CEO, Elon Musk, also the possible buyer, new owner of Twitter, even though he's trying to back out of that deal, has released these statements. According to CNN Business, Tesla faces billions of dollars in losses from its new plants, supply chain problems, and virus lockdowns. These losses lead CEO Elon Musk to mention the possibility of bankruptcy in a recent interview. Now, Musk said the past 2 years have been an absolute nightmare of supply chain interruptions, one thing after another. And we can all agree with that. And just out of curiosity, how many people, just comment below, do you own a Tesla? Did you ever own a Tesla? And or did you order a Tesla or have one on order and have experienced the supply chain issues affecting everyone? Tesla was not immune. Tesla CEO goes on to say that there is an overwhelming concern as to how do we keep the factories operating so we can pay people and not go bankrupt. Warning shots fired. Most companies, most CEOs, they won't make these statements, they won't make these announcements, because they realize the implications. So if a CEO states, hey, there's a possibility of bankruptcy, then they're at risk of reducing overall morale amongst the employees, especially those greatest at risk. And remember, I said those greatest at risk are the high earners. For multiple reasons, they're at their own personal risk because they have the furthest to fall. But they're also the greatest risk to the company because they carry the most overhead. So if a company is looking to tighten up and lower its overhead expenses, well, it's going to make the most sense to attack the monster at the head, and the highest earners are going to probably be at greatest risk. And if they aren't, psychologically, they're going to think that they are. So if you're in a position, and for the most part, your primary concern day after day is not actually the work you do and how productive you are and how profitable you are for the company, you're worried about losing your job. Statements like this can have a drastic negative effect on the employee's performance. So, but we got to realize that Elon Musk is kind of unique. He's unlike many, many other people. He's a visionary, but he also says pretty much whatever he wants to say. And I wouldn't say if you work for Tesla that you should be extremely worried and concerned. I would say that if you work for anybody, even if you work for yourself, you need to be conscious and mindful that at any given time, your income could be disrupted drastically to the point of which you earn no income. So, what should you do? Well, I can't tell you what you should do legally. I can't. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. We actually stayed here at this campground last night. But what would I do? I would do all I can to make sure that I am financially prepared for losing my job, financially prepared for losing my income source. And this has actually happened to people in the past, especially YouTube creators. I've seen channels I've watched for years, and they'll come out with videos, and the videos will state that they've instantly lost their monetization from YouTube. Now, I don't rely on YouTube revenue for my income source, but for many, it is their primary source of income. And there was actually a big scare, I think it was last year, when a popular adult platform announced that it was going to, I think they were going to change the platform, which basically meant that the people weren't going to be able to make money like they used to. But there's some social media platforms out there, but YouTube's the main one that people rely on for their income. And, there were some channels out there that were primarily focused on guns, primarily focused on hunting, primarily focused on like killing animals during the hunt. Some fishing channels I've noticed are getting some backlash. There's a lot of channels out there. And, some prepper channels get the axe because of some of the information that they share and content that they bring. You guys remember when Pinball Preparedness posted that video, and I think it was a live stream, and YouTube shut him down. Now, granted, he was able to bounce back through an appeal, but at the end of the day, that could have affected his income. I even watched a video once before. You guys may or may not know of a channel, Graham Stephan, and I watch him. He discusses a lot of financial and economic news, real estate, and investing types of content. Great channel. And he posted a video last year that he received a letter from YouTube that they were going to be deleting his channel in, I think, like 7 days due to some form of automated glitch. But that would have been a drastic cut to his income. The main point is that no matter what, depending on where your income comes from, you need to understand that it can be disrupted. So, what's the best thing to possibly do? Well, for me, I would reduce my expenses. Sell everything. I mean, I've seen channels before, actually. Richard Fain. I watch Richard Fain from time to time. And he has a reoccurring theme of sell everything. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he just keeps reposting the same video. I'm not sure. But the point is, sell everything. But not like that. You got to sell everything that is weighing you down financially. Everything that is costing you money that you don't need, week after week, month after month, maybe even day after day. I'm drinking coffee. I made this coffee, or Michelle made this coffee. But the point is, if you go out and buy coffee every day, and you go out and buy coffee, that's another thing about Graham Stephan. He's kind of like on the same page of Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary is Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, if you guys are aware. Both very successful multimillionaires, and they have this little statement or catchphrase that they don't spend more than 10 cents on coffee. or something like that, 20 cents or 25 cents. I don't know how much money it is, but basically they don't spend a lot of money on coffee. Now, with that being said, we made this coffee. Our cost is relatively low. We're not paying extremely high overhead to go to a Starbucks, to go to a Caribou, to go to some fancy boutique coffee shop. And side note, I do know the place to get the best coffee, but I don't go all the time. But I have found really good coffee, and sometimes it's worth it, okay? However, if you are in a situation financially where you feel as though, losing your job or any sort of financial emergency popping up, and you don't have $1,000 at any given time cash for an emergency, and you're spending $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 a day in coffees and lattes and espressos or pumpkin spice, whatever dragon fruit drink you're drinking, I would stop doing it. If you spend $3 a day on coffee, that's $90 on an average a month, depending on how many days in a month. $90, okay? It may not seem like a big deal. Maybe it does. But if you continuously look and see, I'm wasting $3 a day here, I'm wasting $3 a day there, now you're at $180 a month. And it adds up quick. And that's the beauty of some of these expenses. Like, they're relatively low cost and low pain, and between paying with Apple Pay and tap to pay and loading up an app with funds, they make it so you don't feel the pain of pulling out cash dollars and paying. That has it affects your brain differently when you use cash. And somebody actually asked me in a comment, I think it was yesterday, and they said, how can you afford to travel with gas prices and diesel prices as high as they are? Well, the price of gas and diesel today is high relative to a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. However, if you really break it down and think about $1 more per gallon in gas price inflation. On average, let's just say you average 15 miles per gallon. If you're taking a vacation or a family road trip, or just most people, I would assume, if they're going to take a vacation, it's probably going to be about I probably say about 1,000 to 1,500 miles round trip. So let's just say it's 1,500 miles round trip, and you average 15 miles per gallon. These are relatively conservative numbers. The average trip will probably be less than that, and the average fuel economy will be higher than that. But for easy numbers, if it's 1,500 miles and you average 15 miles per gallon, that means you're looking at 100 gallons of fuel to make the trip. And if gas prices went up $1, that means your trip's going to cost you $100 more. If gas went up $2 per gallon, that trip would cost you $200 more. All right, I'm not trying to, pretend like money isn't necessary and it's not hard to come by. But what I am trying to do is explain to you that if you're asking the question of how can I afford to do this, in comparison to yourself, maybe, if you're taking a trip, a vacation or anything, dated, even if you're driving to work and you can't afford $100 to $200 more for the trip, then we need to have a serious talk to get you into a better financial position. Because if I'm taking a vacation and I can't afford another $100 to $200 because of the fuel, I don't need to take that vacation. What if I get a flat tire? What if fuel prices were the same, not as high as they are today, and you get a flat tire and you need a tow, you get locked out, you need a locksmith, you have some sort of mechanical failure, your emergency cost is probably going to exceed $100 to $200, which is far greater than the minor incremental increase in the cost for fuel per gallon. So just putting that out there. But again, like I said, if it were me, I would reduce my expenses, and I would cut back on frivolous spending, especially, coffee, like Starbucks, Caribou, all the expensive brands. I would, like me personally, I'll show you guys. Me personally, you can see my hair looking like a mess, looking like a hot mess, and put this hood back on. But me, I cut my own hair, okay? I don't go to the barbershop. Last time I went to the barbershop, they charged me like $30. They charged me like $30, and they wanted a tip. So I just cut my own hair. I bought a pair of clippers. The clippers probably cost me $50. I've had them for probably 5 years at least. I just cut my own hair. And it saves me money. It saves me money. It also saves me time because I don't have to go to the barbershop. I can just cut my hair in like 10 minutes and be done versus spending an hour and a half out of my day to travel and wait, et cetera, et cetera. So I would cut back on spending as best I could. And, this is not, right now, we're not talking about investing. We're not talking about getting into stocks and crypto and real estate and buying gold and buying silver and ways to protect your assets. Right now, we're trying to protect your livelihood. We're trying to protect your ability to function and survive day to day and get by. Because when your income is disrupted, it doesn't mean it's over. It just means it's a temporary lull until you move on to the next phase. Now, if we were to see some drastic income reductions and eliminations in the next 6 to 12 months, I can pretty much guarantee you replacing those income streams is going to be extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Because this is going to be, if it occurs, it's going to be widespread. Hang on one second. This Jayco is driving by. He's pretty loud. Running that V10. Triton V10. Cold idle. But if we see layoffs, we see mass layoffs, or possibly companies say, hey, look, we're not going to do mass layoffs. We're just going to reduce your pay so that everybody can win. Y'all can still have a job. The company can still function. And theoretically, we can rebound and recover from this. And then when we do, we'll bump your pay back up. But if we see it happen, it's going to be widespread. So if you lose, this is just for an example. Let's just say you work at Sam's Club. Let's just say you work at Sam's Club. I don't know if you guys can see this, but Michelle said it's 46 degrees out here right now. It is a drastic change here from where we came from a few days ago. I think like 2,500 miles ago. It's a drastic change from like 80-degree mornings to 46 degrees, and you can see your breath when you're talking. But let's just say you work at Sam's Club, and they do mass layoffs. Okay, what would you do? All right, I'm going to leave Sam's Club. I'm going to go check out Costco. Don't think that Costco probably isn't going to do the same thing. So now you've got, let's just say, a handful of Sam's Club employees now jockeying for position to get hired at Costco. Maybe Costco has an opening, but they'd have an opening, not 10 or 20 or 30 openings. You see what I'm saying? But more than likely, Costco is probably going to look at Sam's Club and make the same moves, make the same adjustments. These businesses, they're in tune with each other. And if it's affecting one, it's affecting the other. So, it's going to make it really difficult to replace those jobs and those positions and that income if you lose your job or you see mass layoffs or income reductions. So if that happens, your best bet in the interim while you're searching for a replacement is to make sure you have the fewest costs possible. Lower your rent, lower your wasted expenses, your theoretically disposable income. But a lot of people use their regular income as disposable income and end up in debt, paycheck to paycheck, can't afford anything, need to borrow money. And it's because they're not being smart with their money, but it's mainly because they lack the discipline and or knowledge and education. And honestly, the best way, I think, to learn discipline in finance and money and gain the knowledge and education. The knowledge and education, you can gain it. You watch, like, you pay attention to people with money, people who are successful with their money, who typically never have any problems with money. Pay attention to them. But the easiest way to learn is to run out of money. Run out of money completely. And then you hit that bottom, and then you realize, oh, wait, I can't do this again. That's where most people get their discipline from, is, like I said yesterday, your parents tell you, hey, don't touch that. As a kid, they tell you, don't touch that pan, it's hot. Don't touch that plate, it's hot. What are you going to do as a kid? You're going to touch it because you got to see how hot is hot. Like, what do you mean it's hot? So when it comes to finances and money and discipline, you need to save your money. You need to save your money. You need to spend your money wisely. You need to use your money wisely. And most people won't, because they want to see how hot is hot. And then once they do, then they'll realize from there. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. But as we are right now today, we don't need to see how hot is, because when we do, it's gonna be 3rd-degree burns. Okay, it's not gonna be good. So I would lower my expenses, and I would possibly look to gain some help with a roommate or somebody who can help reduce my costs somehow, some way. Carpool, work from home if possible. Somebody said that I think they in the comment, they said they finally found a job working from home. It took them like 6 months. Possible, depending on how you were looking, or how hard you were going at it, or what you were looking to do exactly. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had to, I would find a way to earn an income within 7 days working from home, period. Now, I can't say that it'd be exactly what I want to do, but I can say that I would find it in 7 days. And I think I could find it in 7 days, despite the state of our economy and our workforce and unemployment rates. I feel pretty confident that I can. And the reason why I say it is because I have. Not personally, but I have for many other people. I could probably spit off a list of about 30 people that I have helped find ways to improve their, I'm not saying your lifestyle really, but improve their financial strengths and abilities to earn income and just start earning, but also earn higher incomes that people never thought were possible. And some of them actually, most of them were my friends, but they were a little bit of a knockdown, drag out fight, because I wanted them to be better than they were. I wanted them to reach the goals that they had set for themselves, and they were afraid. And if one of them's watching, he knows who I'm talking about. He knows. Evan 60. You know who I'm talking about. Taking people from a time at which they were making $35,000 a year to $30,000 to $35,000 a year, renting an apartment with 2 roommates, to a few months later, $75,000 a year, and they own their own home. Or at least they bought a home through a mortgage, and they were on their way to home ownership versus just rent. And that's just one. I can tell you there's numerous people that I've gotten to the point at which they're earning over $100,000 a year. Most of them are probably earning over $150,000 a year. And this is in like the Southeast. So it's not like they're making $150,000 in New York City, or $150,000 in Miami or in LA, where it won't really matter. They're making $150,000 in Georgia, in Tennessee, northern Florida, northeast Florida, where it can, it actually goes far. And but at the end of the day, it wasn't just about them making more money. It was about them, one, understanding that they had the capabilities and the opportunities exist, and they can go after them, they can get them. But 2, don't spend it all. And we haven't gone down the road of investing. Investing is a tough one for many. and they don't really want to do it. They're afraid of it. They don't think it works. They don't think they can. They don't think they can. And it's because you look at a share of a company like Apple or Tesla or Ford or GM or any of the big oil companies, any of these expensive stocks. They look at them, Amazon, and they'll look before the splits. They'll look at them and say, "Oh man, it's $1,000 a share, it's $500 a share, it's even $100 a share. I can't afford it." That's not true. Because right now, brokerage apps exist and brokerage platforms exist that allow you the ability to buy fractional shares. So even if a share of a company is $1,000 for one share, and you only have $10 to invest, you can buy $10 worth of a share, and it's called fractional shares. And it allows you the opportunity to get in, begin investing, start small, start building it up, start seeing the gains and returns. When the pandemic started, that was one of the first things that I did. When the pandemic started, I started pouring money into the app. It was M1 Finance at the time. That's the one I was using. And I started pouring money into it. I'm not saying like a lot of money. And when I say pouring, it was like every day I was putting in like $5 or $10 instead of going out and spending it. And the reason why I did it, it was so much easier back then because we were pretty much locked down. We were sitting at the house, so I couldn't go anywhere. So every day that I could have gone out and wasted money, I took that money and I threw it in this M1 Finance brokerage and started building up my portfolio balance. And, it started growing. I started putting more in. It started growing. And, there was a lot of fears and a lot of uncertainty of the market. And then, I look back and I look at that portfolio today, despite the fact the stock market is down, despite the fact that crypto's down, despite the fact that historically the S&P 500, which is probably the safest investment you can make, is down. Currently, we're in a bear market. My portfolio is still up. Just to give you an example of what happens when you do things early on and consistently. And my brother, he always say, he got this from somewhere. I don't know where he got it from, but he says, do what's hard when it's easy. And that's exactly what I did. Investing is hard because you put money out there and you're not seeing an immediate return. But it was easy at the time because there was nothing else to do. There was nothing else to do. So I'm going to urge you to do what's hard when it's easy. And what's hard right now is cutting back on expenses and saving money and finding ways for people to help you carry some of these costs when it's easy, even though today is not easy because food's expensive, gas is expensive, rent's expensive, buying a house is expensive. Everything's expensive. But it's going to be easy now if you have a job, because it's going to, doing what's hard when it's hard is nearly impossible. So if you lose your job, that's when things are going to get hard. And with companies like Tesla and CEO Elon Musk making statements that he's afraid of the company filing bankruptcy and he's not sure how he's going to pay people. When he says pay people, he means, primarily he means his suppliers, because without the suppliers, he can't build the cars. But he also means the people and the employees, because even if he pays the suppliers, the automated technology and the robots that help produce these vehicles along the assembly line don't run themselves. So he's got to pay the people too. So, when he says he's not sure how he's going to pay them, that includes the people that work for the company. And when you hear statements like this, you don't need to ignore them. You don't need to stop what you're doing and just freeze and panic. You don't need to do that, but you do need to do your best to prepare for the possible outcome of a company filing bankruptcy and what it could mean for you and your income and your future, your family's future, safety, livelihood, ability to buy food and fill your pantry and stockpile and prepare and all that. You got to pay attention. And if a month from now we get reports that Tesla has gone bankrupt, because it's not hard for a company like that to deplete its resources, its financial resources, very, very rapidly. If and especially if they see a huge supply chain disruption anytime soon. We've seen craziness. Georgia Guidestones, craziness. CERN firing up that black hole portal, craziness. I think the other day, a volcano erupted in Italy just out of the blue. Like, there's some craziness going on. And if, China's even talking about issuing a stimulus, that's crazy. That's crazy. North Korea and their threats, craziness. If we see anything that could possibly disrupt the supply chain to negatively affect the ability for Tesla to produce the vehicles, they could run out of money in a heartbeat. And if we see that, like I say, like in a month, don't think like, oh no, at Tesla's, it's a huge company, they'll be around. No, they could lose it in a month. Honestly, they could. They could, really. And they're not the only ones. But if that were to happen, and then we see in the news headlines that Tesla lays off employees, yada, 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 don't say that the warning wasn't out there, especially if you work for Tesla. If you watch this and you work for Tesla, just comment and say, I work for Tesla. I'm just kind of curious. But either way, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just talking to you guys as friends, as family, and our community, and sharing with you this information that is out there that we need to be mindful and cognizant of so that we can be best prepared for SHTF when it happens. And it can be anything. I received an email yesterday or this morning. I'm not really sure. It's not really jet lag, but I've been traveling a lot and driving a lot, and been trying to keep up with a lot of different things. And I received an email about a young man who moved out of somewhere out of the Midwest. He said, and he's a smart guy. I'm going to tell you right now, he's a smart guy because he shared this in an email, and he identified that he was in a bad area that was not going to serve him well in his future. So he moved out of this area in the Midwest. Maybe Missouri, I'm not sure. Minnesota, I'm not sure. Probably Missouri. And he said he moved to Alaska, and which is crazy. I would never have thought, but he said he bugged out to Alaska, so that makes more sense. So he bugs out to Alaska. And he spent $3,500 on some dry storage food. And he's trying to, in the email, he asked me more about how to prepare. And I think he asked more about the financial component because he doesn't have or make a lot of money, but he's trying to do the best he can with what he's got to prepare, but also figure out how to make more money so he can better have the money to prepare. See what I'm saying? But he's a smart guy. And he noticed the warning shots that he was in a bad situation and he needed to get out of it. And he did what was hard, probably when it was hard, because, leaving friends and family and just bugging out to Alaska, that's got to be hard. But he's probably much better off for it today. And by paying attention to the knowledge and education that's out there and available to him, and taking the initiative to reach out and send me an email to have these conversations, is going to be a game changer for him, because he's got the discipline, and he lacks the humility of saying, hey, I don't know something, or hey, can you help? And that is a huge hurdle for many, is the humility. Put that to the side. Put it to the side. I'll leave you with one last final story of someone I know that I feel as though maybe has too much pride. Maybe, I don't even know if it's pride, but at the end of the day, he was in a position. It was a friend of mine that I was helping elevate their financial position, mainly because they were asking for it, not because I wanted them to, but they were asking for it. And I put them in a position to do that on their own, running their own business. And they saw success probably within 30 to 60 days of starting this. And for most businesses, you're not going to see success for months or years, if any. But we were on track to generating a very, 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 very low overhead business. Email me if you're interested in finding out more about this. A very low overhead business that he was able to run on the side of his full-time job. And it was generating income, profitable income within 60 days. And, I don't know what happened. He just kind of quit. He just kind of quit. Like, it was there, it was going. It's not going to be easy all the time. So as you run into these little hiccups and these hurdles and these speed bumps, you have to work through them. But once we got to him, that's where he stopped. And I think it boiled down to he didn't want to ask for help. He didn't want to admit humility, like, oh, I'm having a problem. And it ain't personal. It's business. And, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, has come out publicly in an interview with CNN Business to state that he has a problem. And there's nothing wrong with it. You put it out there out front, and then you could possibly get some help. But if you wait and don't say anything, and then it all falls apart and goes to shit, and then someone says, well, why didn't you say anything? You're like, oh, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to look bad. Well, that's your own fault. I would not do that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying I would not do that. And there's certain people in my life that you can ask and they'll tell you, say, Kevin, when he's got a problem, he's gonna tell you. And it's usually, I'm personally usually not asking for help. I'm not asking for you to give me money. I'm asking you to listen to me, listen to my problem, and help me think of ways that I'm not thinking about to solve these problems. That's typically when I'm asking for help, that's typically what I'm doing, to get different perspectives and ideas and ways to solve these problems. And if you guys want to have these conversations in these chats, hit me up. Sign up for my newsletter. There's a link in the description. Send me an email. Everybody who sent emails, I'm trying to get back to you as quickly as I can. Some of the emails I won't really respond to because your emails are so good with the questions that you have and the situations that you're in. I'm not going to respond to you by email. I'm probably just going to make a video about it because I think that the questions that you've asked and the situations that you're in affect so many people besides just you. I want to share it with everybody. So if I haven't responded, I'm probably working on touching on your email in a video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on notifications. And give the video a like. Comment below if you work for Tesla. Comment below if you own the Tesla or have ordered a Tesla and you've experienced any supply chain disruptions. And if you would, share this video with friends and family who you think could benefit from it. And depending on how well this video does, maybe I'll do more of them so I can help more people reach the levels of financial stability. I think the number one goal right now is financial stability despite your employer. Especially if you're your own employer, because you run the show and you got to figure out how to make this work no matter what, especially if you got family relying on you. But I think the number one goal right now is financial stability. After we get past the financial stability goal, I'm going to work on financial futures and financial success and personal financial growth, wealth building, and then we're going to work on succession so that your kids can grow up with more than what we had. And we want each generation to do better than the last. And it's possible. It really is. And the key is going to be in teaching the next generation to have the knowledge, the education, and the discipline that we've learned today when it comes to money and finance. You guys take care, be safe, enjoy your Friday. Hopefully I'll see you real soon. And thanks for watching.